So this video was a continuation to a vid I made last month, just looking at 4 high risk, high reward players in this upcoming draft, aka star or bust. And the title isn't meant to be taken so literally as if they will be a star or else they're a bust. Nah, these are basically just players that have shown enough to genuinely believe they could be great at the next level, but certain factors within each of them makes them a very risky pick, potentially a bust. Whether it be injury history, unorthodox playstyle, or just placement in the draft, it can be a lot of things. And today we're just looking at 4 players that fit this description. So yeah, I definitely encourage y'all to check out part 1 if you haven't. I covered prospects that are a little bit more well known, but I didn't get to all of them. So yeah, but before I move on, what's up YouTube, Plug Speaks, back with a vid. If you are new, first of all, welcome, go ahead and sub, also like the vid if you enjoy. I upload 3 to 4 times a week, and we are currently grinding for 5K, so I'd for sure appreciate it. I appreciate every single viewer, but back to the vid though. So the first player on this list is 6'5" Keon Johnson out of Tennessee, who's arguably one of the most underhyped prospects projected to go in the lottery. I mean, I haven't heard much about him from mainstream media or just us NBA fans at all. But notice I said underhyped, not underrated, because he's on this list mainly due to his draft placement and his sort of outdated playstyle. Because Keon Johnson is a player that ESPN's mock draft has at number 6, which is pretty high. And unlike a lot of players whose draft stock is fueled by good production, Keon's stat line isn't that impressive. I mean, tell me if this impresses you. But instead, his draft interest is fueled by the fact that he's one of the best guard defenders or perimeter defenders in the entire draft. And you know, that's great and all, but I believe he's high risk simply because a shooting guard who shoots 27% from 3 and is very average on free throws doesn't seem appealing enough for scouts to have him at number 6 overall or in the top 10 in general, to be honest, especially with the amount of talent we know is in this draft class. And I know I just explained that his value comes in forms outside of 3-point shooting and that he's one of the best defenders in the draft, and that's still true. But again, he's a 6'5" shooting guard. He plays a position that almost demands solid perimeter shooting in today's NBA game. So unless I'm sleeping and his mid-range is amazing like Derrick Rose or DeMar DeRozan, you know, guys whose mid-range is literally automatic, a team could possibly regret picking him so early in a draft class that is again so talented. But yeah, now this next player is Max Amos out of Oral Roberts. And if you've never heard of this dude, I don't even blame you, because pretty much all of his notoriety came from the NCAA tournament. It really made his career. So if you didn't watch that, you won't know him. However, his name should be well known, because he really highlighted the madness out of March Madness by helping carry his team to the Sweet 16 when they were supposed to get bounced in the first round. And by no means was it easy. He averaged 27 points on 42% from the field and 40% from 3 through the couple games they lasted. And his regular season numbers are almost identical except with better efficiency, which is very impressive for such an undersized point guard. So yeah, this man Max Amos is a legit bucket, and went from unknown status to a mix of second round projections and late first round projections just by going off on the national stage. It's very respectable. I mean, a 6'1" guard making defenders look silly in each game is something you can't help but root for. And sure, you could say the majority of his competition wasn't very good since he attends such a small D1 program at Oral Roberts, but his performance in March Madness clearly shows he has some form of NBA talent. So yeah, if it isn't already obvious, I'm rooting for him. But the reason he's on this list is also obvious. I mean, an undersized point guard that scores better than they can play make is not really ideal at the NBA level, and it's really hard for teams to even trust it, because there's more examples of 6'1" guys that fall short of their amazing college careers than guys who don't. I mean, for every beast like Kemba Walker, there's a much more average player like, say, Trey Burke. But hopefully a team out there believes in Max and he goes off. But anyway, moving on to this next player, we got another lottery talent just like the first one, and this player is Jalen Johnson from Duke. And Jalen really fits the description accurately, because his draft placement is high, he's dealt with a tough injury, and because he's just a huge talent that's had both amazing and poor performances. But yeah, Jalen Johnson is a point forward whose game involves a lot of versatility. His perimeter game is decent, his athleticism is up there with the best, and he can pass the ball as good as some of the best in the draft for his position. A lot of scouts have compared him to Ben Simmons, which is a compliment for the most part. Also, although his numbers don't come off amazing, they're actually really good considering he was given just 21 minutes a game, which is pretty low for someone that a lot of scouts agree is an obvious lottery talent. So yeah, there's a lot of good things I could bring up about Jalen Johnson. I didn't even mention the fact that his college debut featured a huge double-double of 19 points and 19 rebounds in a win. However, there's also a lot of questionable things I could bring up, and I'll just list them off. Because for one, he dealt with a foot injury that kept him out for almost 2 months and would partially cause him to end the season early. Also, his point forward skills are great, but it comes with being pretty turnover prone, and his handle isn't great either, even though it's pretty good given his size. And then finally, this one's a little bit more controversial, but his commitment to his teams and degree of selfishness is actually seen as a concern by some scouts because he quote unquote quit on Duke, and because he apparently withdrew from a high school team when things didn't go his way. Now, I'm not sure of the legitimacy to that last point, but I had to bring it up because I've seen it on real sources, and I've noticed some mock drafts are holding his incomplete body of work against him. So yeah, he's definitely high risk, high reward. But anyway, moving on to the last player on this list, we got 7-foot center Kai Jones out of Texas. And the reasoning behind him being on this list is really straightforward and pretty simple. Because Kai Jones is really a raw prospect that just has a lot of upside. It's pretty much carrying his draft stock. He will definitely be a multiple year project for whatever team that drafts him. I mean, the fact that none of his stats are in double figures and yet he's in lottery discussions is a dead giveaway. Plus, his playstyle also gives it away because he's 6'11 and pretty bulky like Giannis, but his game involves a lot of the skills we usually see from guards. I mean, pull up threes, running the floor, and even some decent passing, which could obviously be super overpowered if developed. However, things could also go horribly wrong, because centers that find themselves in that gray area of having guard skills that are average and then center skills that are also average can really be a disaster. For example, just look at Porzingis. Now, Kai Jones isn't as skinny as Porzingis, but if his potential flops, he could end up like Porzingis, and that definitely isn't a compliment as of right now. You already know this if you're watching the NBA playoffs. So yeah, but if it doesn't flop, he could end up like prime DeMarcus Cousins or even Yusuf Nurkic. So yeah, it could really go both ways, and that's exactly why he fits this list. But yeah, man, that's about it for this video. I'm definitely interested in what y'all think of this list or what guys you might even add to it. So comment all of that below. And yeah, man, I appreciate y'all watching as always. Like the sub, share, sub if new, all of that. Comment below if y'all might want a part 3. Probably won't drop one unless y'all really want it. But yeah, I appreciate y'all, and I'm out.